Alright, hello everyone, delonewolf here, and welcome to EVE Talk, your weekly look at the markets in EVE Online. And in the meantime, I'm also having a small discussion with Rylot Ferron Drake, who is actually flying in the Alliance tournament later this evening. So that's of course also the reason why the current EVE Talk is a bit earlier than usual, or than what I want to do. Because yeah, in just a few hours it will be the Alliance tournament, and I definitely want to watch that. And in fact, I'd rather not compete with that for stream time. In the meantime, it looks like my stream is okay, and I'm on your reactions pages. So if you get stuff that you want to have a look at, just type them in the comments and I will take a look at them. Keep in mind though that there's around a 30-35 second delay at the moment when I stream to YouTube, so it could take just a little bit of time before I pick up on your reactions and the stuff you're asking. But we'll start out in the classical way. I'll go over the stuff that interests me the most, and in the meantime, there you go, Rylot is also adding quite a few implants for me to check out. But we'll start off with the minerals. So let's start with titanium here. 482, I'd say that's down a couple cents again. Unfortunately, really a bad chart here because of that one data point in the 30th, in the I don't know how many millions there. So for some reason, this chart doesn't want to work with me, so we'll have to go by the price here. If I'm not mistaken, it was around 490 last week, now 482. Although that's not cheetah price, 492 actually, 493, 496, so that's pretty much the same as what it was last week in cheetah itself. But it's still below 5 ISK, and that's pretty low. But it could mean that there has not been a further decrease in price for titanium over the last week, which might be good news for miners. And let's say thank you to Rylot there for a couple more suggestions, which I'll cover. And these are mostly implants that he suspects might be manipulated because of the tournament. Next up, pyrite. 1180, 1183. Do we have a good chart? Yep, here we can see, however, that pyrite is still dropping. In fact, 5-day moving average dropping below 12 ISK. And if you look at a full 1-year chart, it comes from almost 16 and it's now dropping below 12. That's really bad. And in fact, I would say it's looking like the decrease in price is accelerating. If you look at the tail end there, and it broke 12 ISK. So yeah, look out below. Can it hold on above 11? I don't know, but it's really not looking too good for pyrite there at the moment. Mexalon, I suspect similar. Yeah, just look at that 1-year chart holding on for 6 months above 60 ISK, and it's really breaching all of its supports, heading towards 35. What are prices in station? 34 ISK in cheetah for Mexalon. That's almost half the price it was 6 months ago. That's really bad news. In fact, Mexalon was really one of the top mining products for a very long time. When it was right here, you really wanted those Plagio-class asteroids because of how high Mexalon was. But now it's dropping, and no signs of it stopping. Titanium, it's just, I think it's because it's only 4 to 5 ISK for titanium that the price is not moving that quickly, and because you actually need an enormous amount of titanium. So just building a super capital means such a huge amount of titanium that just a couple of purchases can actually keep this market from crashing as hard as the other ones are doing. Just because there's more leeway in Mexalon that's like 34 ISK than something that's only 5 ISK. So yeah, not a good time to be a miner. The mineral market continues to crash. I'll have a quick look at the higher end ones. Noxium tentatively going down here as well. If I take a 3-month chart, you can see that 5-day moving average is staying below the 20-day, and it's dropping towards 800. Let's have a look at Isogen here. Well, this one wants to stay at around 140, interestingly enough. Megasite, it's also trying to hold on at 2000. Really interesting how the easy to get high-sec minerals are still dropping, but stuff like megasite and noxium, they seem to want to hold on above 800 here again. Although they are dropping from a high, it's not as pronounced as the high-sec minerals. Good for people that want to buy their minerals and produce Tech 1 chips, not so good for miners. So next up, I'll do a couple of Tech 1 chips and see. Yep, you can see right here the Drake moving in tandem with the mineral drop. It's probably going to look the same for the Maelstrom. Yeah, the Maelstrom, if I look at this 1 year chart, it's done really well after the last expansion here, holding well above 200 million. Of course, some fluctuations right there in the 5-day moving average. But now with the drop in minerals, it just can't sustain itself anymore and it's heading for 180, which is a decent drop, you know, 20 million ISK on a 200 million ship. That's not nothing. So yeah, Tech 1 chips, in general, you'll see them dropping. The one exception we saw was the Dominix. So I'll just have a quick search for that. Look at that Dominix chart. One thing someone pointed out that is very true is that the Dominix, it just took more resources to build them after Odyssey. So this is why they've increased so much. I do, however, also think that they've just become better ships, that they are more popular. And just look at last week's Alliance tournament. Dominixes were really dominating. Man, Dominixes were dominating a lot of the matches they were fielded in. Because yeah, with sentry drones, it's just really a very strong ship at the moment that can dish out a lot of damage at range. So it's got a lot of firepower that it can project at long range, but on top of that, it's got a lot of slots, a lot of utility that it can bring to the field as well. And yeah, it's just becoming a really popular ship at the moment, Dominix, which I think is also helping increase the price. And that is not only the increased mineral requirement to produce Dominixes after the patch, but that's really a very impressive rise from 90 million to 160. That's very nice. If you had invested in Dominixes before the patch and you'd learned about the changes there, that looked like you could have made quite a lot of ISK that way. So really nice. Next up, I'll go for the implants actually, because I think it's a pretty interesting topic that Rylode Feral Drake asked me to check out. First of all, we had the Molus. And here we go. Here is the Molus chart. Slightly up, and you can't really tell that anything's been happening just from the price chart here, although it's been going up from below 500k to above 500k. And I will prepare something else here as well, the frigates, for a bit more elaboration on what I mean. The interesting thing are the orders, and what the hell? That did seem to change a little bit, and is that really recent? Must have been. So there's not that many orders. Well, there are actually plenty of Molus orders here at the moment. That's a bit... There you go. What the hell is going on with the Molus here? So the presumably in the Molus markets... Ah, there you go. That's better. That's what I wanted to see. Someone tried to manipulate the market and tried to keep people from buying Moluses during the Alliance tournament. And this is why what you see here, you only have some orders in Jita, in fact not even a full page, because this is it. And all of them are really very recent, 89 days, 89 days, 29 days. Someone put up a 30-day order there, 29, 89, 88, a couple of recent ones. A couple that are a bit later on, but they're also at a much higher price. And so what it looks like someone did was buy basically all the Moluses of the market, whether this was to keep people from buying them for the Alliance tournament, or if it was to try and manipulate the price and bring that up. You know, if you could buy most of them below 500,000 and now you can start bringing them here at starting at 540, you could make some ISK. But Rylode thinks that this was an attempt at market manipulation with a sight on keeping some teams from fielding Moluses in the Alliance tournament itself. I'd say that's probably failed because there are plenty of them for sale, and if a tournament team still wants to get their hands on a few Moluses, they perfectly well can. But just look at the Atron orders, you know, there's a lot more of them, and even outside of JITA as well. Same for the Imicus right here. You see, you can actually, there are some more silly orders, and outside of JITA here too. Look at the Incursus that's being sold all over the place. But the moles, very limited, and this is indeed a sign that something has been going on there. The same should have happened for the EG603 implant. Now, I myself am not that well versed into implants and what they do. On the price here, you can see though that they've risen from below 19 million to almost 21, and a couple of spikes here. But you do see a similar amount of sell orders here, and they are all at most 2 days old. Except for this one right here, 71 days, but that's also again at like almost 24 million, so a much higher price. So it does look like there might have been some manipulation in the price, or at least an attempt of manipulation in the price for the EG603. What exactly does it do? 3% bonus to power grid output for a ship, which is very important if you want to get the most out of your fitting. But it does look like some people were ready for such attempts and came right back in with their own stocks. Look at that, 76 of them at 19,990. Yeah, presumably an attempt at manipulation here, because someone must have bought up a lot of them, which you can see from all these recent orders at the prices below 23 million or just above that. But people definitely were ready for that and stepped right back in. And let's have a quick look so that I don't miss anything. So my reactions are not really updating too well. Let's see, Black Jeopardy, massive Scordite would be of interest. Also wondering, is the stream, is the time every week? Yeah, Black Jeopardy. This stream, I try to do it every Saturday, usually a few hours later, but right now, because of the Alliance tournament, I'm moving it a little bit earlier. And so you wanted me to check out Massive Scordite. Now keep in mind, I did already check Massive Scordite. I did already check the minerals, which is basically what you get from Massive Scordite, and I suspect that these are dropping. Yep, and there you go. Went from above 32 ISK, and now it's slowly dropping, but it's breached 30, so this could keep going down, actually, in my opinion. If we look at a 1-year chart, I suspect we see something similar to Pyrite, and you can see it's been holding on above, I would say 32, 33 for quite a while, with a nice peak right here at 35 ISK, but now dropping down, breaching that 30 ISK price point is really a bad sign for the Massive Scordite and for the Scordite market in general. And like I've said, this is definitely reflected in the minerals as well. This is the Mexalon chart. It keeps breaking points where I think it could be hard for that price to breach it, but it just keeps going down. You know, it came from 60 and now it's down to almost 35. And pretty similar for Pyrite. So yeah, definitely not a good time to be a miner once again. But yeah, good suggestion. You could always look at the asteroids themselves, the ores themselves, not just at the minerals, but they're really so tightly linked that you will find these charts to mirror each other quite nicely, along with the Tech 1 chips, which is usually after a small delay. But to go back to Ryload's look, he also suggested I look at a couple of the other ones. Look at that Gunslinger one. That's not a lot of orders for JITA. Let's have a look here at the price history. Look at that spike here. So this might actually have been an attempt at manipulation last week. Let's do a 10-day one. That's not really clear. So it's actually later. 1 month, 3 months. Yeah, look at that. 26 million. Average price, I would say, during the year is around 20 million or below that for quite a while, and here now your lowest buy order is at almost 25 million. So yeah, definitely here in the Gunslinger one. And is that for projectile turrets? Definitely some manipulation that I can see in there indeed. Not even a full page makes the page bigger. Yeah, but there was definitely, was that in the Molus one? I think so. Molus. I just wanted to show that right here at the bottom of this 700 ICE, 1000 ICE sell order, there was nothing left below that, so it was basically like this. But you could see that no order was further down below that. I just wanted to show the limitations, the limit of how many sell orders there were, and that is in JITA, that's not something you'd expect. You'd expect there to be a lot more of them. Yeah, the gunslinger, that definitely looks like one that could have been manipulated here. Noble Mechanic MC300. I'd say there's, look at that, that's a little bit more normal, you know, a full 1.5 pages of sell orders available, and this is 3% bonus to hull HP. I don't think they'll try and manipulate that one, because that's I suspect there are better implants to get. Let's check this one out. Looks decently healthy. Price is not high enough. After repair system one, 3% reduction in repair system duration, although that could be an interesting one. But keep in mind there are limits to how many what's it called there, logistics ships they can field in the Alliance tournament. So this might not be one worth the effort to try and manipulate. I'll have a look at some more suggestions. This one is a little bit, the AC603, afterburner, micro warp drive speed, price history. Ooh, this one is actually been going down, so I don't really see any manipulation in this market, because this looks like a normal sell order page to me. And then finally we have the yeah, that was actually the one that I already saw and that I do suspect has known some manipulation. Look here, an increase in price, limited amount of sell orders, and again someone here moving in. This is actually really interesting, and I only noticed this now. You've got 76 and 26 right here again. So, oh, that's actually because it's again the EG603, which I checked first. Okay, right, just so that I know what's going on there, and that it's not someone that's actually been actively doing this and putting these sell orders there with similar amounts. But no, it's actually the exact same product that I was checking. So yeah, some manipulation. I can see this definitely in the Molus and in that EG603 implant for the power grid, where someone attempted to either push up the price by buying up all of them, or indeed try to influence the Alliance tournament somehow by making them very difficult to attain or a lot more pricey. But to me it also does look like some people were ready for that and just brought some good amounts to the market and were ready to sell them then. So pretty interesting. But I would say I've not really seen any successful manipulation, in the sense that they've not been able to keep it long enough off the market to really influence the Alliance tournament, because if they want to field either one of these implants or these ships, they can just get that done, no problem. And I really do wish that my reactions would be going better. All right, and I actually got a next question from Tricky. How is the clone tag market at the moment? I actually have not checked that one. So I'll have to look that up and actually get even more. Yep, looking good. So clone tags, let's see if I can find that. Trade goods. Yeah, there you go. Clone soldier negotiator tag, clone soldier recruiter tag. A 1-year chart is not too good. Let's see at the recruiter tag, trainer tag. Okay, this is decently interesting. This is a normal chart for a new product, a new item that's been launched with Odyssey. So they start really high, a couple data points, 100 million, 80 million, etc. And then it relatively quickly starts to find its price point. So let's have a quick look at what they are at. Clone soldier tag, 40 million. That's really not bad for something you can just find in any belt in low sec. Really interesting. Still 40 million and not that many available just yet. And in fact, you can see there's definitely still some relics with sell orders that are still further away that have been placed at the beginning of the expansion at like 100 million or 50 million. So this is definitely a fresh market, and 40 million, that's not bad. Let's have a look at the recruiter tag, 3 million. Yeah, again, data points starting at what, 100 million. But this one looks like it's at 3 million, and I think it is normal for a new product. Clone soldier tag 1.5, now probably closer to 2 million, 1.8, something like that. And the transporter tag again 41 million. That's definitely not bad, you know. From a couple of them, they're definitely worth it to go after that. I would not have expected these to stay so high. And then probably the common ones, 1.8 and 3 million. But I would say just look at right here at the 3 million mark. Competition, one isking is definitely happening here. So that's usually when you know that consensus has been reached, and that this is the price that the market finds for such new commodities. The charts, yeah, they're definitely a bit confusing in the sense that it's a totally new product and they start ridiculously high. But yeah, negotiator tag and transporter tag holding at around 40 million, which is pretty damn high. So that's nice. Okay, and Tricky is adding some insight into the tags because he's actually been doing them. And in 2 weeks of ratting, he got 3 soldiers and 1 recruiter. So they are indeed pretty rare. That's interesting. I did not expect these to be that rare. But yeah, the sell orders, they're not that big either, you know, in the amounts. So these do feel indeed like they're pretty rare tags. The soldier tags 3 million, so 1 recruiter and 3 soldier tags. So yeah, the most common ones, this will translate into maybe 10 million or something like that. So you'd really have to do your research and try and find some negotiator tags and some transporter tags to make it to make some real profit out of it. One thing I would say, if you do go after tags like this, and you know, if you make that your business, the type of news that I would look out for is something like a Burn Cheetah or a Hulkageddon or something like that, because at that point there's like a group of nullseekers that are going to try and suicide gank a lot of people, and they might just try and make use of these new tags in order to keep going a lot more efficiently. And at that point demand for it might spike, and just having a small amount of them ready to bring to the market and to sell at that point, that could be actually be a good idea. So these tags are pretty rare to find, those of big value. They've definitely pretty much found their prices. And the sort of news I would look out if you're into the tag market is look for some of these player-driven events with a lot of suicide ganking, and then you might just see some increased demand and might be able to make a nice profit out of these tags. For the moment, it's just a little bit of too new a market to say that it's an investment that you can make or anything like that. I think it's still in the process of finding its price, and it's a lot of competition going into it, a lot of new people bringing that stuff to the market. And as you can see right here, 993.92, 0.91, 0.90, so it's a constant struggle at the moment, and I wouldn't really say there's a lot of trade opportunity or anything like that in this product. But very good suggestion. It's not something I usually check, but that's pretty damn interesting. And here an interesting insight from Ryload. Anything above a +3 implant is not allowed in the tournament. That's a rule I didn't know about, but that's obviously the reason why some of these might be manipulated, especially that EG603 for increased power grid. It's really a base implant that all of the participants in any team can actually use this tag and get a clear advantage of it, because they can fit more on their ships, and so that's probably why it was the target for manipulation. Thank you very much for all of these extra insights. I really find this awesomely interesting to see how intricate the market in EVE Online is. So we did check the minerals, and we did check the Tech 1 ship markets, which are all just going down in tandem, I would say. Let's have a quick look at my favorite part of the Tech 2 market at the moment, which are the command chips. So advanced command chips, here we go. And let's see if we can find some more spiking going on here. The Absolution, unfortunately, looking pretty damn stable at its current price of what that would be 210 million. So not a lot of trading going on here, and the Damnation also feels a little bit too stable in the last few days, weeks. Look at the Nighthawk as well. The Vulture is at the top, so this is the time to sell Vultures if you have any. The Astartes, this starts to be a bit more interesting. It broke 200 million, so it's below that. Well, just below that. But if you can pick some up at buy orders, I would say this is probably something that could yield a profit in a few weeks or a few months. A couple of Astartes at around 190, which is what the buy orders are looking like. The EOS, let's have a quick look at the 3-month chart. At least you can see some volatility here. In the 5-day moving average right here, jumped above the 20-day, but it's really not enough, I would say, to risk a lot of trade money. Claymore, that's just way too stable. There you go, the Sleipnir, at least this one has known this usual market speculative change. You know, here a 20 million increase right there pretty quickly. It's unfortunately moving up, so I would say the buy order is over, but if you do have some Sleipnirs, look out for a sell opportunity. Although the trend in general for the year has been up, has been down, I should say, actually. This uptick here, you know, it's pretty sharp, 20 million, just like that. So if this goes up, I'd say look for a sell opportunity in the Sleipnir market. But at the moment, I would say the Astartes is the one that's looking more most interesting if you're looking to invest some medium-term trade money, which is really what I like to look at for trading, which is right here, the command chip market. Let's see. And there you go. Yeah, you guys can have your own conversations as well, of course, in the reactions. So Zach is saying that he's having no problems finding all the different tags. So he could be making some really good money with 40 million at some of those tags. That's looking pretty good. After the Tech 2, I do like to check out the Tech 3 market. So let's have a look at that here quickly. Melted nano ribbons. This one was going down, and as you can see, that top of 6.4 million, that was clearly a top. Look at that nice rise, but now it's going back down. In fact, prices in JITA, I would not be surprised to see 5.6, no, 5.85. So okay, it's still trying to hold on, but it's definitely gone down from that top at 6.4 million. I'm pretty surprised at how volatile the melted nano ribbons market actually turns out to be right here over the course of 1 year. A high of 6.5 and a bottom of 4.5, and a lot of movement in between them. So this could be half decent for investments and opportunities. Unfortunately, at the moment, I would say as long as that 5-day moving average is still below the 20-day moving average, is going to continue to coast downwards. Is this inflection point right here just above 5.6? Does that mean that the bottom has been reached? It's a possibility, but I wouldn't be sure, to be honest, because on the 1-year chart it's been way lower than that before. Personally, I'd look at the price below 5.5 million before I would consider buying some melted nano ribbons, because then I feel you're pretty sure that you'll have a sell opportunity later on. Let's have a look at the Tech 3 ships then, which have known a real downtrend in general. So advanced strategic cruisers. Let's see if that's been stopped or not. A small spike here. I suspect this is due to the war, but it's back down, unfortunately, for the Legion. The Tengu. That's not a 1-year chart you like to see if you're into production of Tengus. Look at that, it's starting at 220, now at 180, and once again after a short spike here, it once again broke down and it's back below 180, so it's really not a good time for the Tech 3 market either. Proteus, one of the only ones that's been able to stay decently stable. You can see a similar spike here, but again, I would say it's a very slow downward trend here that's beginning again, unfortunately. Although the Proteus, it's really done well well, no, 182, it's really not done well either, coming from above 200 million. So yeah, really not the best of time for Tech 3 ships. That Loki here again, big spike. I suspect this is due to the war, you know, 0-0 alliances fielding some Tech 3 ships, buying as much of them as they could. This caused these spikes, but in general the market is just not that interested in Tech 3 ships at the moment, and so it's right back down below 180 with highs for the year at 220. So yeah, Tech 3 ship market, it's really not where I want to be at the moment. They've been nerfed. It started with the Tengu that was nerfed because of the heavy missiles that got damage reduced, so their effectiveness was reduced. And now with Odyssey, they can no longer do the high-sec combat sites, and that really, they took a beating because of that. Because that was really one thing that they were undisputably the best at, the Tech 3 cruisers, that were those high-sec combat sites. Yeah, now these have been done by hacks. Hacks are getting rebalanced. So that's actually, you know, if you're looking at an interesting market at the moment, yeah, it's decently interesting, that tag market. If you live in low sec, that's definitely something to look at. But if you're looking for an interesting market, in my opinion, at the moment it's gonna be the hacks. The sacrilege, it's going up a little bit, you know. The Zealot, I suspect that one didn't change too much. It's going up, and a lot of variation. Look at that. I'd say 130, and then here 180. That's quite a lot of movement here as well. This is actually really interesting. Look at the Cerberus here. Big spike up, coming from 120 up to 160. That's a 25% increase in price right there. The Eagle going up, really going up, you know. Low for the year, below 90 million. Current price looking like 140. Yeah, 148 even. That's what would that be? 60% increase in price from the year low. Not bad at all. The Demos, well, it's going back up. It's never been that popular a ship because of how few mid-slot it has. It gets an extra one. Price going up. Ishtar also, well, I don't know why it would have this slump, but definitely going up here as well. Heading back for 180 when you could have picked some up at 140. So yeah, actually I would say the hack market is even more interesting than the command ship market at the moment, because they're up next for rebalancing. There's a lot of speculation going in there, a lot of theory crafting. The Munin seems to be the only one that's not moving that much, you know, clearly a lot of the time in the 140 to 160 band, and it's still in there. Vagabond, that's a lot of nice upward movement right there. 135, well, it's still limited though. Amazingly enough, the Minotaur ones are limited in how much they've moved. But yeah, the hack market, heavy assault cruiser market, is a very interesting one, a very volatile one. So probably a risky one. Keep in mind everything that's written in a dev post, that's always subject to change. But it's a very interesting one where you could make a lot of money is being made and lost here if you look at these violent upswings on the 5-day moving averages. So really an interesting one if you're into the market, in my opinion. Next up, I also have a suggestion from, and it's actually already been half an hour, okay, but alright, we'll keep going, you know, because I still have a suggestion from someone else during last week. He asked me to check stuff like the coolants and the PI stuff from a post fuels. That's what I was looking for. And here's the coolant market, and I actually produce a lot of that stuff, although I make the fuel blocks for personal use, so I don't try to sell it, but that's not a chart I like to see, honestly. A really high plateau here above 9,000 and a clear downtrend here at the end, heading for 7k. Prices in JITA, yeah, 7,000 ISK for coolants. It's not bad. I would say it's not bad, but that's not where you see it trending, honestly. If it breaks 7,000 again, you'll see 6.5, 6,000 pretty quickly, and that's not so good. 30% loss from highs on the year. So yeah, I'm a bit surprised by it because of how stable the fuel blocks have actually been. But yeah, pretty damn low. Let's have a look at another one then. Can I just go... no, so I'll have to do them by heart. If I'm not mistaken, robotics could be an interesting one. If you see this, if I see the same trend here in robotics, which is currently at 61.5 thousand ISK, but if I see the same trend, it's definitely a general, yeah, and I actually do see it, a plateau above 80,000, and now a drop down to 60,000. Luckily, robotics seems to have found its bottom, and still it will hold down above 60,000, but definitely a downtrend during Odyssey for these PI stuff, for fuel blocks, and if it's here in the robotics, it's probably there as well in coolants, in mechanical parts. Obviously, it's a component of that, so let's see if I can find the mechanical parts. Here we go. Yep, exactly, same downtrend as the coolants. So this is, I'm a bit surprised at it, by this, because the actual fuel market itself is decently stable. If I look at Galente fuel blocks right here, it's known this uptick, but here it's pretty stable around 14k, where it's been for quite a bit. Just checking some of the comments from time to time as well. But yeah, I'm a bit surprised at how much these PI stuff have been dropping, with the Galente fuel blocks actually holding up. Does that mean that actually ICE prices could be up a little bit to keep it? That would actually make sense to me. Let's see if I can actually... Galente fuel block. I'll actually have to look then for the blueprint. So let's go for that, and then let's have a look at one of the I think oxygen isotopes. That's from the ICE. No, that's actually the similar charts to what the fuel blocks themselves did, and that's what I would have expected, which is the influence on the fuel block price itself. You know, that's really similar. When Odyssey hit, people expected that the ICE change would be dramatic for the fuel block and the ICE products, but it turned out it was not that bad. So it's gone back down and settled at a new price point, which is around 14,000 ISK per fuel block. But for some reason, the PI prices have been dropping throughout the expansion. I'd say for 3-4 months they've clearly been dropping, but it's not had an impact on the fuel block price itself. That's really a bit weird. It's a disconnect there that I don't fully understand. I can't really give you guys an explanation for that, unfortunately. Really interesting, not good for people that do PI like myself. But it's definitely a strange disconnect that this price has found itself, and it's pretty stable, but PI is still dropping. So that's really weird. And it's not that the ICE products have been rising to make up for that difference. They've really mirrored the same chart as the Galente fuel blocks or the Caldari fuel blocks. So a bit weird. Very nice suggestion. Unfortunately, I don't really have an explanation for you. They're dropping. Yeah, PI stuff is dropping. All right, we've actually covered quite a bit, I think. We found some interesting stuff, you know, some manipulation due to the Alliance tournament in some of the higher end implants, and probably the molars as well. General trends, definitely the minerals are dropping, Tech 1 chips are dropping. Tech 2 still pretty volatile, and it's looking very volatile in the hack market, I would say, at the moment, because of the upcoming changes they're always work in progress, so you never fully know what's happening. But yeah, the Ishtar, it's a drone boat, and it gets a buff to its drone damage, so that one's gone up quite a lot, and a few of the other hacks as well. So I find that one to be very interesting. Tech 3 ships, they've just been getting a nerf after nerf, basically, over the last few months or up to a year, so they're not doing good at all at the moment. And then to end this EVE talk with, I think we'll look at the Plex. The Plex is for me a general barometer to activity in EVE Online. The higher the price, the more demand for Plex, the more general activity in EVE. So this is the 1 year chart. I'm very happy to see that prices are going up right here. 540 million was the intra-summer bottom. I expect this to last longer, but it looks like the uptrend might actually have started. Let's look at prices in JITA. 557 for Plex, up 8-9 million from last week. Very interesting. 546 for the sellers, so the margin is a lot healthier. Last week I think the margin was 8 or 9 million, which is a bit too low for Plex because of how much it costs. But that's gone back up to 11 million. I think 12 to 13 million is a normal margin in the Plex market. So it looks to me like there's a bit less competition here at the moment than what was last week, but the general trend right here is definitely back up at the moment. Broke 550. It's pulling the 20-day moving average up above 550, and I think this is really good news for EVE in general, because this is a sign that this summer activity is not dropping that much. Usually over the summer activity drops enough to flatline the Plex market, or even slowly keep pulling it down over the entire summer, and only at September, October, when the new expansion is announced, does it pick right back up into that big spike which we generally see at the winter expansion. But right here it feels really early for this for Plex prices to be rising like this, which is of course very good news for my investment. I actually bought 7 Plex below 500 million, but it's a bit early from my previous experiences in the last few years. So I think this is a sign that that EVE Online activity is very high this summer and for this summer. So it might just be new people brought in with EVE Online Odyssey, you know, definitely a different theme, one of being able to explore right off the bat if you wanted to. This might just have drawn in enough people to keep activity up during the summer compared to last summer. So very interesting, I think. I think you're a bit too late now to go on a buying spree for Plexes. That's my honest opinion on that. You can always purchase them for personal use, of course, but as an investment, I think you're too late, honestly, because this price, it'll slowly keep going back up, I think, for the rest of the summer, and then once the winter expansion is announced, I suspect this could go quite a lot higher. And I personally am looking to sell at 600 million or more. So a cool 100 million profit for every Plex I bought would be really nice. And I think it's actually reasonable to expect this if you look at where it came last year. You know, before the summer, 480 is where it started, and then a spike back up. The 20-day moving average never breached 600, but right now we have a start at 540. So I can definitely see the 20-day moving average breaking 600 for the next winter expansion. If CCP does a good job there, of course, that's still wait and see. But yeah, very exciting for my personal investment. I think you're a bit too late to make the really huge profits. You can definitely still buy them if you plan to use them personally as well. But at the moment, I would say the uptrend, the slow uptrend for the summer, because Odyssey has been very successful, brought in a lot of people, and there's still a lot of activity despite it being the summer. And so yeah, I don't think we'll see a new bottom, unfortunately, in the next few weeks and months before the winter expansion. I think it's going to keep going up slowly and then pick up the pace once the winter expansion is announced. Very interesting. I think the Plex is actually the backbone of the entire EVE economy, because it's the item that gives value to everything else. So that's really why I like to end my EVE talks with them, and why I personally like to invest in them whenever I can. And really interesting to see how early the uptrend is right here. Whereas last year it was really a bottom at this point, and right here the bottom is like almost a month earlier compared to the chart where it was last year. So really interesting. We'll have to wait and see, of course. Winter expansion is going to be very important for the Plex market, but it's looking really good to me. The fact that it's not gone back below 540 towards 500 means a lot of activity in EVE Online, very healthy, I think, for the activity and the game itself. So really, really good to see that. Anyways, with that, I think I've also done all the suggestions you guys had in the comments, which is very much appreciated because I learned something new as well just by doing this and interacting with you guys. I did not know about the market manipulation, which Rilo covered, and the tag market. Really interesting to see where that stops. Basically that you get 2 tags that are very low and 2 tags that are like 40-50 million. That's really 40 million, 38 I think is the other one. So really interesting market there as well. If you're in low sec, something to keep an eye out for as well. Anyways, that's it for this week's EVE Talk, guys. Next up is probably going to be the Alliance tournament for you guys as well. Really exciting, I think, to see what's going to happen in this week's matches. If I'm not mistaken, they will be allowed now to ban certain ships, and I expect a lot of bans for the Dominics because that one's really been dominating last week's matches. And so yeah, this definitely it's going to be quite different, I think, from the matches we saw last week. A lot more tactical decisions will have to be made before that, and you might just get some weird setups because of the bans. And I think that's a very interesting way to do the Alliance tournament. Okay, tricky. 250. I should have held on to that Plex. If you don't know, which I do think all of you guys do know, twitch.tv/ccp. Head over there for the Alliance tournament in, I think it's 2 hours, something like that. So yeah, that's actually going to be a lot of fun. Next week I will be back with EVE Talk probably at roughly the same time, because we still have the finals then, and I'm really looking forward to how the market moves there as well. Unfortunately, I think it's going to be a little bit in flux at the moment because it is summertime, and then not so much moves at CCP, and this means that there aren't really that many surprises outside of the Alliance tournament in the market either. But I do like to stay up to date, and I hope you guys enjoy it as well. Anyways, all that's left for me now is to wait out the delay, and I'll see you guys next time. And let's wait out that delay by walking right back. New pilot certification. Hans Erik. Okay, always nice to see new people joining New Eden too. But I actually should keep an eye on the time. Wow, 50-minute EVE Talk, not bad. So thanks a lot for all the interaction there. There's my nice little Merlin. And that should just about do it. Uh-oh.